They are accusing Democrats of saying we spend too much. For anyone that wants to entertain that thought, I ask you to think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them, that their Social Security check was too high, that teachers are paid too much. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?
When AOC took the floor in Congress, she delivered her signature mix of emotion and fire, blasting capitalism and claiming the working class is being crushed by the rich. But while her words drew cheers online, they fell flat in the chamber. Then came Chip Roy's rebuttal. Calm but sharp, he countered that government expansion doesn't fix problems, it creates them. He pointed to rising debt, agency overreach, and IRS abuse of the poor, arguing that AOC's vision of more government is the very thing Americans are desperate to escape.
President Biden already lowered the deficit by $1.7 trillion. They say his budget would cut the deficit by another $3 trillion by eliminating wasteful spending on big oil and pharma, we're told. But it is in fact our Democratic colleagues who prefer to maintain their massive subsidies for the elites and the wealthy in their so-called Inflation Reduction Act just last year. My friend from New York, Ms. Ocasio-Cortez, said, quote, "I ask you, think about the last time a person has said in this country that the government does too much for them. When was the last time anyone has heard or seen that?" I'll say it. I'll say it right here. I don't want the government doing most of the things that the government is doing to interfere with the ability of the American people to carry out their lives. Federal, state, and local. When was the last time you had a bureaucrat show up and you said, "Oh joy, thank you. I'm really glad there's a bureaucrat here"?
Roy turned AOC's own words against her, asking when Americans have ever welcomed government intrusion in their lives. He painted vivid examples: families buried under regulations, ranchers fined for minor disputes, and parents targeted for defending their kids. Each point underscored a government grown too large and too controlling. Then Roy shifted to the nation's $32 trillion debt, reminding everyone that it equals nearly $100,000 per citizen. Who benefits from this? He asked. His argument, rooted in hard numbers and real consequences, flipped AOC's emotional appeal into a stark warning about freedom versus bureaucracy, and exposed the shaky logic behind her calls for more spending and control.
When was the last time you were thankful for $32 trillion in debt, $100,000 almost for every man, woman, and child in America? Anybody thankful for $32 trillion in debt? Anybody? Anybody thankful for a border that's wide open being exploited by cartels while fentanyl comes in and kills our children? Everybody thankful for that Department of Homeland Security that doesn't actually secure the homeland? Everybody thankful for an FBI that went after Scott Smith and labeled him a domestic terrorist for daring to defend his daughter in a school board meeting because she was assaulted in a bathroom? Anybody thankful for the IRS knocking on your door, auditing the poor and the minorities 3 to 5 times more? People thankful for that? Are you thankful for the EPA or the Department of Interior that sent a man to prison because he had some ponds on his ranch in Montana? We have a government that is weaponized against the American people and is undermining our liberties, and they want more of it.
Roy shifted the debate to the border, exposing how Democrats once condemned Trump's policies, but now ignore worse conditions under Biden. He reminded them that the cages were built under Obama and have only grown more overcrowded. Ted Cruz then intensified the exchange, blaming Biden's policies for the chaos and calling out AOC for her silence after once posing for emotional border photos. Their arguments cut deep, revealing hypocrisy and political theater on full display.
I'll tell you, I've been to the border. I've been to the Biden cages. For 4 years, Democrats went on and on and on. The corrupt corporate media went on and on and on about kids in cages. You couldn't turn on the evening news without hearing kids in cages. What they didn't tell you is Barack Obama built those cages, and today under Joe Biden, the cages are bigger and they're more full than they were before. Mr. President, every Democrat who stood up and lamented kids in cages. In the House of Representatives, Representative Ocasio-Cortez has a famous photo of her grasping her head by the kids in cages. Well, I'm going to give a simple challenge for Representative Ocasio-Cortez and for every Democrat in this body. Go see the Biden cages with your own eyes.
Cruz dismantled AOC's arguments, defending capitalism as America's greatest strength, the system that lifts people out of poverty, unlike socialism, which punishes success. He linked AOC's Green New Deal to lost jobs, rising costs, and foreign dependency, reframing the debate as prosperity versus decline. Then he went personal, exposing her hypocrisy, criticizing wealth while profiting from her own brand and influence. For Cruz, it wasn't just about policy. It was about credibility, and he made that contrast unmistakable.
I've seen them, the Donna tent facility with over 4,000 people, with little boys and little girls on top of each other. Just a couple of weeks ago when I was in the Rio Grande Valley, the rate of COVID positivity in the Biden cages was over 22%. And all the Democrats who talked about this, if they don't go, if they don't denounce the Biden cages, then they're telling you that they're hypocrites, that they didn't believe it when they said it, that they didn't care about it when they said it, that it was all politics. It wasn't about their kids. Why does Joe Biden refuse to go to the Rio Grande Valley? Because if he goes, the TV cameras will come with him. Why does Kamala Harris, who's supposed to be the border czar, she's supposed to be in charge of this, why won't she go to the Rio Grande Valley? Because if she went, the TV cameras would come and would show the Biden cages. And the Democrats are counting on the corrupt corporate media to suddenly say, nothing to see here.
Cruz's strongest moment came when he declared that America's Constitution isn't up for revision by radicals. He defended free speech, limited government, and individual rights as timeless pillars, not political tools. The clash rose above AOC's speech, becoming a battle over America's identity. AOC pushed emotion and control. Cruz and Roy stood for freedom and opportunity. In the end, it wasn't just a debate. It was a declaration that America's future depends on defending liberty over socialism, strength over decline.
Anyone want to know what Joe Biden's favorite ice cream flavor is? That's the news. Never mind 1.2 million illegal immigrants. Never mind when I took 19 senators down to the border, we went out on the river and saw a man floating dead in the river who died trying to cross illegally. Never mind the South Texas farmers and ranchers, the moms who told me, I won't let my teenage kids go out on our ranch without being armed with a loaded firearm. Because there's so many human traffickers and narcotics traffickers that it's dangerous for them to go out on their own ranch. Never mind the South Texas farmers and ranchers who told me at round tables how tired they are of going out and finding dead bodies. You want to understand what's happening? Say there's no crisis? Come to Brooks County. I invite every Democrat here to Brooks County. Brooks County in South Texas. It's just north of the border.
AOC's speech was passionate but lacked substance. She painted America as broken, yet offered few real solutions, just costly promises with no plan to pay for them. That gap between emotion and practicality gave conservatives room to strike back. When AOC pushed for massive new spending, Chip Roy cut through the rhetoric with one question: who pays for it? He reminded everyone that government giveaways aren't free. They come from taxpayers and pile debt onto future generations.
Brooks County, over and over and over again, they're dead bodies of illegal immigrants. The traffickers who are bringing them in, they're not nice guys. They're not humanitarians. They don't give a damn. That means if one of the illegal immigrants is a pregnant woman, is a young child, is elderly, is sick, they just abandon them. They leave them in the rough terrain, in the summer heat, and over again. The farmers and ranchers encounter dead bodies on their property where the traffickers have abandoned them. Mr. President, I ask you, is that humane? is that compassionate, the Joe Biden and Kamala Harris policy that encourages, that puts people in harm's way and results in people dying? When we were down on the border, we saw a young girl who had been gang raped by the human traffickers who had brought her to America. The rate of sexual assault is staggering.
Chip. Roy's fiery challenge exposed how government generosity often leaves families struggling under its weight. He spoke for everyday Americans, farmers, workers, and parents tired of Washington's overreach. Then Ted Cruz joined in, turning the debate into a direct confrontation with AOC. Roy and Cruz accused Democrats of hypocrisy for staying silent about border crises they once condemned under Trump. Cruz hit harder, calling out AOC's silence on Biden's overcrowded cages after her past tearful protests. He blasted her Green New Deal as economic suicide, raising costs, killing jobs, and empowering foreign nations. Together, Roy and Cruz framed the moment as bigger than politics, a defense of liberty, capitalism, and the Constitution against creeping socialism.